Gentlemen, listen closely. Loyalty isn't just about what someone says, it's about what they do when you're not watching. In a world obsessed with attention and validation, it's harder than ever to tell who's truly in your corner. You need more than charm or beauty. You need loyalty. But here's the truth most men ignore. Disloyalty hides in plain sight. It's subtle, it's masked as innocent fun, just friends, or you're overreacting. So today, I'm giving you the warning signs, the quiet flags that show she's not riding with you. Even if she pretends to, let's go on. She keeps you in the dark. She avoids questions. She's vague about who she's with, where she's been, or why she was online at 2 a.m. A loyal woman has nothing to hide. When she's secretive, it's because she is hiding something too. She needs constant male attention. Every post is a thirst trap. Every conversation is with another guy. She calls it harmless, but it's not. A loyal woman doesn't need the validation of strangers. She values the man she chose. 3. Her friends don't respect you. Listen to this carefully. Her circle reflects her values. If her friends talk down about you, flirt with other men, or laugh when she disrespects you, they're showing you the environment she chooses. That's not loyalty. That's betrayal with lipstick on 4. She never says we. It's always I, me, my. She talks like she's single. She plans like you don't exist. A woman who's loyal thinks as a unit. If she doesn't, you're not part of her long-term picture of 5. She brings up her ex often. She still follows him, still talks about him, still accidentally mentions things they did. That's not closure. That's a signal her heart isn't fully yours. 6. She's emotionally unavailable. You try to connect, she shuts down. She avoids meaningful conversations, dismisses your feelings, and pretends nothing's wrong. Loyalty isn't just physical, it's emotional. If she's checked out emotionally, the rest is just a matter of time. And these are just 6, but there are more. 11 to be exact. But here's the point. You don't confront disloyalty with rage, you confront it with clarity. You don't beg for respect, you walk away when it's not given. Because a man who respects himself doesn't tolerate shaky loyalty. He doesn't chase uncertainty. He builds with someone who's all in or not at all. So the next time your gut tells you something's off, listen to it. You're not crazy. You're not paranoid. You're just waking up. And that, my friend, might be the most loyal thing you've ever done for yourself. When someone is vague with you, especially someone you're in a relationship with, it's not just a communication style, it's a warning. Vagueness isn't just an absence of detail. It's the presence of something being withheld. When a woman avoids answering simple questions like, where were you, or who were you with, and gives you general empty responses like, I was out, or just with some friends, you're not being unreasonable for feeling uneasy. You're being alert. Vagueness is a defense mechanism people use when they don't want to lie outright, but they also don't want to tell the truth. It's how they dance in the gray area between honesty and deception. And in relationships, the gray area is where trust goes to die. A woman who is loyal has no need to hide. Her stories make sense. Her timelines line up. Her energy is consistent. But when she's vague, the puzzle pieces never quite fit. You hear about a night out, but the details change. One day she says it was with coworkers. Another day it was with just a few people. You ask about a male friend. She keeps messaging. And instead of direct answers, you get, you're overthinking it, or don't be so insecure. There's not transparency, that's deflection. And deflection is a strategy to avoid. Really? You start to feel like you're crazy for asking reasonable questions. That's another trick vagueness plays. It turns your concern into a character flaw. Instead of her explaining, she flips it on you. Suddenly you're the problem. You're the one who's too controlling, too jealous, too suspicious. But here's the truth. When someone's behavior causes confusion, it's not your fault for noticing. It's their responsibility to be clear. Loyalty thrives in clarity. When someone wants you to feel safe, they explain, they give context, they make sure you're in the loop, not because they have to, but because they want to. If you're asking a woman where she was, and her instinct is to protect the truth from you instead of protecting the relationship with you, that speaks volumes. Hi, Emily. A woman who guards her stories is usually doing so because she's guarding a version of herself that wouldn't make you comfortable. Think about the difference between someone who says, I was at Emily's place. We grabbed dinner at this new Italian spot and came home around midnight, versus someone who says, I was out, it was nothing. One version gives reassurance, the other breeds suspicion. The worst part is when you point out the difference, a disloyal woman will label you insecure instead of being accountable for being inconsistent. This behavior often escalates over time. At first, the vagueness is subtle. You might not notice it. A misdetail here, a blurry explanation there. But slowly, you start to feel like you're always asking for clarity. You become the detective in your own relationship, piecing together fragments of stories that should and complete from the beginning. You scroll through social media looking for clues. You find contradictions. One post says one thing, her words say another. That tension in your gut, it's not paranoia, it's instinct. And when you feel like something's being hidden, it usually is. Another form vagueness takes is in future plans. When a woman avoids committing to anything beyond the short term, when she talks about her future without including you, when her language always centers around I you instead of we, that's not a coincidence, that's a forecast of how she sees the relationship, not as a long-term foundation, but as a temporary situation. A loyal woman makes you feel like part of her life. A disloyal one keeps you in a separate category, convenient, but not necessary. Vagueness can even show up in the way she talks about her values and boundaries. If you ask where she stands on emotional fidelity, male friendships, or what she considers crossing the line, and she can't or won't give a straight answer, be very cautious. A person who truly values loyalty will define it clearly, but someone wants to leave the door open for questionable behavior will keep the definitions vague on purpose. That way, when they betray your trust, they can say, well, we never said that was wrong, or that's not cheating to me. Vagueness isn't just a lack of honesty, it's a setup for excuses. You don't need someone who makes you feel like you're walking on eggshells every time you want to understand them. You don't need to guess your way through someone's loyalty. When a woman is all in, you don't have to dig for answers or decode half-truths. You won't need to beg for explanations or justify why you deserve clarity. You'll just know, because she'll make sure you do. Vagueness isn't a glitch. It's a feature of disloyal behavior. It's the fog that hides the truth, and the longer you let it slide, the more lost you become in the haze. Don't ignore it. Don't downplay it. If something feels off, it probably is. You deserve clarity. You deserve truth. You deserve someone who doesn't make you question where she stands. When a woman constantly seeks attention online, it's easy to brush it off as modern behavior, something everyone does. But when you look closer, when you stop making excuses for it, you'll realize it often reveals something deeper, insecurity, and more importantly, disloyalty. We live in a digital age where likes, comments, and shares can become a substitute for self-worth. But when someone in a committed relationship still needs that external validation from strangers, especially from other men, it's a red flag, not because you're insecure for noticing it, but because the behavior itself signals that her loyalty might not be with you, it might be with her ego. You'll notice it in the way she posts. Every photo is perfectly posed, filtered, and revealing just enough to get a reaction. Captions that look innocent on the surface are actually bait, subtle, calculated lines that attract attention, particularly from men. She says things like, just felt cute today, or missing this night, with a picture that barely covers anything, and within minutes her comment section fills up with heart eyes, fire emojis, and compliments. And instead of shutting it down or ignoring it, she engages, she responds, she smiles at the validation, she feeds it. Here's what that tells you. Her self-picture is tied to outside praise, not to the respect of the man she's with. If a woman is truly loyal, her sense of value comes from the relationship she's building with you, not the cheap dopamine hit of online attention. When she needs to constantly prove to the world that she's wanted, desirable, or admired, it's because she hasn't fully committed to being grounded in one relationship. She wants to keep doors open. She wants to stay visible. And that visibility isn't innocent, it's intentional. You'll see it when she gets more excited about compliments from strangers than she does about your praise. You tell her she's beautiful and it barely registers, but let a random guy on Instagram say the same thing and suddenly she's glowing. That's not just about attention, it's about who she values hearing it from. If the words of someone she doesn't know carry more weight than the man she's with, that's not just insecurity, that's misplaced loyalty. Worse still, when you bring it up, when you express concern about the way she presents herself online, she flips it back on you. She says, you're trying to control me, or you don't trust me, or it's just Instagram. But deep down, you know it's not just Instagram. Social media isn't separate from real life anymore. It's an extension of it. And how someone behaves online tells you a lot about who they are when no one's watching. A woman who's truly loyal protects your relationship even when she's not physically with you. That includes the digital space. She doesn't use social media as a stage to advertise herself to other men. She doesn't post content designed to attract the wrong kind of attention. And most importantly, she doesn't act single online while claiming to be committed in real life. Another sign to watch for is the double standard. She expects you to be low-key, respectful, and private, but she's out here flirting in comment sections, responding to DMs, and maintaining friendships with men who clearly want more than just a conversation. She might say, they're just my friends, or I've known him forever, but the truth is, if she's entertaining any kind of attention that crosses boundaries, she's not being loyal. She's just playing games with a massive innocence. I have over-emphatically said in these distribution numbers that women are often denied, and she celebrated women who are constantly praised online. They call it confidence, self-love, or empowerment. But there's a difference between confidence and constant validation seeking. True confidence doesn't need an audience. Loyalty doesn't need a spotlight. A woman who's secure in herself and in her relationship won't use Instagram to feed the part of her that still wants to be chased. So she doesn't need the world to desire her. She values being desired by one man who sees her deeply. The moment a woman starts prioritizing likes over love, attention over connection, and male compliments over your respect, she's already putting distance between herself and the relationship. And it's not always about physical cheating. Sometimes the disloyalty starts emotionally, when her energy shifts away from you and toward the admiration of others. That shift may not involve physical betrayal, but it erodes trust just the same. Because when someone's loyalty is divided, their commitment is no longer whole. So pay attention to the signs, not out of paranoia, but out of self-respect. You deserve a partner who's more interested in building something real with you than putting on a show for strangers. You deserve someone whose confidence doesn't depend on digital applause, because loyalty isn't just about what happens behind closed doors. It's also about what's done in public, online, and everywhere in between. And if she can't be loyal when the whole world is watching, don't expect her to be loyal when no one is. Itu miling na sensacion mo rira mutachin ki hende ka iki mi henni gonyona kokopari ekal kotisha ba ye pay yori boson ko e boson color values either Cass's companions lie, cheat, disrespect their partners, or constantly seek validation through drama and attention. Chances are she's either doing the same or sees nothing wrong with it, because the truth is people don't stay close to those who challenge their values, they stay close to those who reinforce them. A woman spends most of her time with people who disrespect relationships. You're already in a dangerous position. That's not just her social life. That's the environment she chooses to normalize. If her friends treat loyalty like a joke, jump from one guy to the next without thought, or speak poorly of their partners behind their backs, she's absorbing those attitudes whether she realizes it or not. And if she doesn't push back against it, if she laughs along or stays silent, she's silently co-signing the same behavior. You have to look deeper than how she treats you when you're alone. Observe how she acts when she's with her friends. Does she change? Does her tone shift? Does her level of respect toward you decrease when she's around them? That tells you everything, because if she values your relationship, she won't allow her friends to poison it. But if she's more loyal to their approval than to the health of your bond, it means the relationship doesn't hold the weight you think it does. Now, Think about her reaction when her friends are blatantly toxic. Let's say one of them is known for cheating, flirting with taken men, or getting blackout drunk and making reckless decisions. How does she respond? If she defends that behavior with excuses like that's just how she is, or she's going through something, then understand this: she's protecting dysfunction. And anyone who protects dysfunction is comfortable being close to it. You don't protect what you don't relate to. Even more dangerous is the scenario where the friends don't like you and not for any legitimate reason. They're cold, dismissive, or passive aggressive. They make jokes about you when you're not around or encourage her to act single even when she's in a relationship. That's a direct reflection of her boundaries. If she allows her friends to disrespect you, she's already failing to defend the space you hold in her life. A loyal woman doesn't let anyone, including her friends, diminish the man she's with. She either checks the behavior or she distances herself from it. But when she does neither, it means she's okay with it. And if she's okay with it, it's because she doesn't value the relationship as much as she says she does. What makes this even more important is how much time and emotional energy women invest in their social circles. These aren't casual acquaintances. These are people she vents to, shares secrets with, and leans on when things get tough. If they don't respect commitment, if they encourage her to do what makes you happy at the cost of loyalty, then those words become the background noise of your relationship. And if she's not strong enough to resist that influence, you're fighting a battle you don't even see. This doesn't mean she can't have a life outside of you or that all her friends need to be saints, but there's a difference between having imperfect people in your life and surrounding yourself with people who promote chaos. It's about what she tolerates and what she celebrates. If she's constantly defending friends who make reckless choices, who violate trust, who encourage selfishness and deceit, then you're seeing what she prioritizes: approval over integrity, image over substance, freedom over responsibility. Sometimes the most loyal people don't even have loud, obvious values. They just quietly keep respectful friends. You won't find them in messy circles. They avoid gossip, drama, and dysfunction, not because they're trying to impress anyone, but because they respect themselves and what they're building. That's the type of environment that nurtures loyalty. If her world is filled with chaos, don't be surprised when your relationship starts to feel chaotic too. People are the average of the 5 closest individuals they spend time with. That rule doesn't stop at men. It applies to women too. If her 5 closest friends are disloyal, disrespectful, and immature, then no matter how sweet or kind she seems at first, that influence will bleed into your relationship sooner or later. You can't isolate her from her environment forever. Eventually, the values of her tribe become the values she lives by or the values she chooses to ignore. So, pay attention. Watch who she laughs with, who she defends, who she listens to when things go wrong, because her friends don't just tell you about her past, they predict your future. And if you don't like what you see in them, you might not like what she becomes when pressure hits. Loyalty isn't built in isolation. It's shaped by the people she allows to speak into her life. When a woman talks like she's single while in a relationship, it's a red flag that shouldn't be ignored. It's not just about the words she says, it's about the mindset behind them. The way someone speaks reflects how they see themselves and how they view the connection they have with you. If her language doesn't include you, acknowledge you, or reflect a shared life, then she's still operating with the mentality of someone who's unattached. That doesn't happen by accident. It's a conscious or subconscious choice to keep her identity separate from the relationship she's supposed to be building with you. You can pick up on this in subtle ways. When someone asks her if she's seeing anyone and she hesitates, dodges the question, or answers vaguely like, "I'm just doing me right now," or "it's complicated," that's not loyalty. That's her preserving an image of availability. If she refers to her relationship as something light or casual to other people, especially to men, that's a signal that she's leaving the door open. Even more telling is when she intentionally avoids using the word boyfriend or partner in conversations where it would make sense to mention it. If she's out at an event and someone asks about her weekend and she talks about everything except the time she spent with you, she's not just leaving you out of the story, she's shaping a narrative that allows other people to think she's free Pay attention to how she carries herself in social settings. If she flirts openly, makes provocative jokes, or downplays her commitment when talking to others, that's not harmless behavior. That's a decision to present herself as available. It may not be physical cheating, but it's emotional dishonesty. She's creating space for interest from other men. She's making sure that she still has options. Loyalty isn't just about what you do when no one's watching. It's also about how you talk about your relationship when everyone is. If she won't publicly claim you, don't be surprised when she privately disrespects you. Sometimes it's even more subtle. She'll talk about her future in ways that don't include you. She'll make statements like, I want to travel alone, or I'm focusing on myself, or I'm not tied down, even though she's supposed to be in a committed relationship. This kind of language sends a message to everyone listening. I'm still my own person, and I'm not prioritizing this relationship. While independence is healthy, there's a difference between being self-sufficient and being emotionally unavailable. If she never speaks like she's part of a team, it's because she doesn't see herself as part of one. Another dangerous sign is when she speaks to other men in a way that crosses respectful boundaries. She keeps conversations playful, flirty, and open-ended. She avoids mentioning you, or if she does, it's with minimal emphasis. She may even go as far as joking about being single, entertaining compliments, or responding to male attention with thank you, followed by heart emojis, winks, or laughing it off like she's flattered. That's not just immature, it's disrespectful to you in the relationship. When someone is committed, they make it obvious. There's no confusion about where they stand or who they're with. What's worse is when she tries to justify this behavior. She might say, I'm just being friendly, or you're overreacting, or it doesn't mean anything. But here's the truth. It does mean something. If she consistently speaks like she's not committed, it's because emotionally she's not. And trying to convince you otherwise while continuing to act that way is a form of gaslighting. It makes you question your own standards and instincts when in reality your concerns are completely valid. In a loyal relationship, both people speak in ways that reinforce the bond. They talk about each other with pride, respect, and clarity. They don't create confusion. They don't let the world guess whether they're single or taken. And they definitely don't use language that invites temptation or attention from outside the relationship. When a woman is truly loyal, her words reflect that. She includes you in her conversations, she references your relationship naturally, and she makes it clear that her heart is spoken for. The way she talks matters because it influences how others see her and how they interact with her. If she's giving the impression that she's single, she's opening the door to energy and attention that has no business entering the relationship. She's sending a message to other men that they still have a shot. And even if she doesn't act on that, the fact that she's entertaining it says a lot about her priorities. So if you notice that the woman you're with talks like she's single, take it seriously. Words are powerful. They shape perceptions, set boundaries, and reveal what someone truly values. If she can't even speak like she's taken, don't expect her to act like it when things get tough. A woman who's loyal speaks in a way that honors her relationship. One who doesn't is already halfway out the door. When a woman hasn't emotionally detached from her past, it shows up in quiet but powerful ways that can undermine even the most promising relationships. You can sense it in her words, her reactions, her silences. She may not talk about her ex all the time, but when she does, there's still emotion in her voice, whether it's pain, bitterness, or even nostalgia. It's not just that she has memories. Everyone does. The real issue is that those memories still affect her emotionally. She hasn't let go, and because of that, she can't fully hold on to what's in front of her now. Maybe she brings up her ex during arguments. She compares you to him, sometimes indirectly, sometimes blatantly. She might say, at least he did this, or you're acting just like him. Those are signs that the emotional wounds haven't healed. The past is still alive inside her, and you're forced to compete with the ghost. It creates a situation where no matter what you do, you're measured against someone she should already buried emotionally. And when someone's still using the past as a standard, they're not building something new. They're trying to recreate or avoid what was It can also manifest through her social media habits. Maybe she still follows her ex. Maybe she checks his stories or likes his posts. She says it's not a big deal, that they're just friends now, or that she doesn't even think about him like that anymore. But if she were truly over it, she wouldn't feel the need to stay digitally connected. Emotional detachment means cutting off the pathways that keep old feelings alive. If she's not doing that, it's because a part of her is still holding on, whether it's out of longing, resentment, or unfinished emotional business. It seems the way she talks about love in general, if she sounds cynical, guarded, or constantly expects things to go wrong, she's still carrying emotional baggage from before. It's like she's already bracing for betrayal, disappointment, or pain, even if you've given her no reason to. That's not about you, that's about what someone else did to her. But instead of healing from it, she's projecting it into the present, and you're left paying for mistakes you didn't make. That's not fair, and it's not sustainable. Sometimes she'll tell you she's over it, but her actions say otherwise. She might act triggered by small things, a phrase you say, the way you raise your voice, or even how you dress. These reactions aren't about you. They're emotional echoes from her past. If you notice that she's frequently angry, withdrawn, or overreacts to harmless situations, there's a good chance she's still emotionally entangled with what came before. It doesn't always mean she wants her ex back. It might mean she hasn't forgiven him, or worse, she hasn't forgiven herself. Another clue is how she responds to emotional intimacy. If you try to get closer and she pulls away, not because of something you did, but because she seems afraid to be vulnerable, that's a sign she's still hurt. Past relationships, especially toxic ones, can leave scars that make love feel unsafe. But if she hasn't worked through that pain, she'll self-sabotage. She'll push away what's good because she doesn't trust it, or because she doesn't believe she deserves it. And if she hasn't emotionally detached from her past, she can't fully commit to her future with you. Emotional detachment isn't about pretending the past never happened. It's about being at peace with it. If she still speaks about her ex with anger or longing, if she still defines herself by what happened, if she still has unresolved questions or fantasies about how things could have been, then she's not ready. And being with someone who isn't ready means constantly feeling like you're in a relationship with three people: you, her, and the emotional shadow of someone else. One of the most painful things is watching someone say they want to move forward while clinging to what's behind them. You try to love her, to build something real, but her emotional energy is split. It's like trying to fill a cup that has a hole in the bottom. No matter how much effort you pour into it, it's never enough, because part of her is still living in a chapter that should have been closed. So Borna couldn't help. She might not even realize it. She may think she's doing her best, and in some ways she is, but effort doesn't equal readiness, and love can't flourish where the past is still dictating the present. Being emotionally detached from the past means being able to love freely in the present. It means seeing you for who you are, not who you remind her of. It means she no longer flinches at love or mistrusts your intentions. Until she gets to that place, there will always be an invisible barrier between you. And until she's truly let go of what broke her, she won't be able to give her whole self to what could heal her. Emotional disconnect is one of the clearest yet most often overlooked warning signs in a relationship. It doesn't always show up as fights, yelling, or betrayal. Sometimes it creeps in silently, through silence, distance, and the gradual fading of genuine connection. You start to feel like you're talking to a stranger, even though you're sitting right next to them. The conversations grow shorter, the eye contact fades, the small gestures that used to mean everything now feel like they're missing or forced. It's not always about what she says, it's about what she no longer says. And if she's emotionally disconnected, it means her heart isn't fully present anymore. Yes, it may look like stress or distraction. She might seem tired or preoccupied, but over time the pattern becomes clear. She no longer opens up the way she used to. You ask her how her day was and you get a one-word answer. You share something personal and she nods without really hearing you. You try to create moments of intimacy and she withdraws. Emotional distance isn't always about physical space. It's about the absence of emotional availability. And once that starts happening, the relationship starts to feel hollow. You might still be together on the surface, but beneath that surface, the connection is slipping away. You begin to notice the lack of excitement. Her laughter doesn't come as easily. The warmth in her voice has cooled. She doesn't reach for your hand the way she used to or lean in when you talk. She may still go through the motions, show up for dates, respond to texts, say the right things, but it's not the same. You can feel when someone's soul is no longer in it. When emotional connection fades, the relationship becomes more like a routine than a bond. You become partners in logistics, not partners in love. This emotional disconnect can come from many places. Sometimes it's the result of unspoken resentment. Maybe there's something she hasn't told you, something she's holding in because she doesn't want to start a fight or because she thinks you won't understand. That kind of silence builds walls between two people. Over time, those walls become so tall that even basic communication feels difficult. And when she stops feeling safe enough to share her inner world with you, she starts living in it alone. Sometimes the emotional disconnect is a sign that her heart is somewhere else. It might not be with another man, but it could be with a version of herself she used to be, or a life she wishes she had, or even with the emotional baggage she hasn't fully unpacked. When someone's attention, emotion, and mental energy are tied up elsewhere, they can't give you the connection you deserve. You'll find yourself constantly trying to pull her back into the moment, trying to get her to engage, to care, to feel, but she's not fully available. And the more you try, the more you feel like you're the only one holding on. Another clue is the loss of empathy. When a woman is emotionally connected, she cares deeply about how you feel. She wants to understand you. But when she's disconnected, your emotions become inconvenient to her. If you're upset, she dismisses it. If you're excited, she shrugs it off. The emotional exchange becomes one-sided. You give and she receives, but there's no reciprocity. You may find yourself questioning your own feelings, wondering if you're being too sensitive or too needy, when in reality, you're just reacting to a lack of emotional nourishment. Even the way she handles conflict changes. In an emotionally connected relationship, arguments are painful because both people care about resolution. But in a disconnected one, arguments feel empty. She doesn't fight with passion anymore. She either shuts down or walks away. There's no urgency to fix things, no desire to bridge the gap. When someone stops trying to resolve conflict, it's because the outcome no longer matters to them. And when the outcome doesn't matter, the connection is already fading. Emotional disconnect is dangerous because it doesn't always come with obvious signs. It can exist quietly for weeks, months, even years, but it eats away at the foundation of the relationship. Without emotional intimacy, trust erodes. Without emotional presence, passion dies. Without emotional safety, love can't thrive. You end up in a situation where you're physically close but emotionally miles apart. You share a bed, but not your dreams. You go through the day together, but feel utterly alone. What makes emotional disconnect even more painful is that it often happens gradually. There's no sudden event to blame, just a slow drifting apart that's hard to point to and even harder to fix. But if you feel it, if your gut tells you she's no longer emotionally present, don't ignore it. That feeling is real, and it's telling you that something deeper is off. Emotional disconnection isn't a phase, right? It's a signal, a warning, a truth that needs to be faced before the relationship becomes a shell of what it once was. So if you're seeing these signs, don't ignore them. Don't let charm blind you, don't let words distract you, and don't let hope keep you in a place where loyalty doesn't live. Loyalty isn't just about not cheating, it's about presence, honesty, consistency, and emotional integrity. You deserve someone who stands beside you with both feet planted, not one foot out the door. You deserve someone who respects the bond, not someone who plays with it when no one's. Pay attention to the hidden signs because they're not really hidden, they're just uncomfortable to admit. But the sooner you face them, the sooner you can stop chasing illusions and start building something real with someone who's truly all in.